Jake Morrison tried to sit properly in the chair, but his knees kept hitting his chin. The chair was made for someone much smaller than him, or maybe much bigger. He could not tell which. Around him, the great meeting hall of the Galactic Council stretched up so high that he could not see the ceiling. Lights floated in the air like tiny stars, and strange music played from nowhere. The other beings in the room were nothing like humans. Some looked like giant lizards with scales that changed colors. Others were made of what looked like living crystal, sparkling and making soft bell sounds when they moved. The strangest ones had no solid body at all. They were like clouds of gas that glowed different colors when they talked. Jake was the only human in the room except for Amy Carter, who stood behind him wearing her military uniform. She kept her hand close to her weapon, but Jake knew it would not help them here. They were surrounded by beings who could probably destroy Earth with a thought. "The cute little human wants to speak," said Zixthara, the leader of the lizard people. She was 20 feet tall and had teeth like knives, but when she looked at Jake, her eyes were soft, like someone looking at a puppy. How adorable. Jake stood up from the tiny chair. "I represent the human race," he said, trying to sound important. "We came here to join the Galactic Council as equals." The sound that filled the room was like laughter, but stranger. The crystal beings chimed like bells. The gas clouds made whooshing sounds. Even the lizard people made deep rumbling noises that might have been chuckling. Equals? Zixthara reached down with one giant claw and patted Jake on the head. Her claw was sharp enough to cut steel, but she touched him as gently as a mother touching her child. "Oh, you sweet little thing. Look how brave you are, standing up so straight." Jake felt his face turn red. "We are not pets," he said. "Humans have technology. We have ships. We have weapons." "Yes, yes," said another council member, one that looked like a walking tree with too many arms. "Your little stick and stone tools are very impressive. So creative for such a young species." "We have nuclear weapons," Amy said from behind Jake. Her voice was hard and angry. This made them laugh even more. "Nuclear weapons," repeated a gas cloud being in a voice like wind through leaves. "How wonderfully primitive. Like watching children play with firecrackers." Zixthara waved one massive claw, and pictures appeared in the air above them. Jake saw Earth from space, blue and beautiful and small. Then he saw other worlds. Some were 10 times bigger than Earth. Some were made of metal and crystal, with cities that covered entire continents. Some had rings of pure energy around them that crackled with more power than Earth's sun. "These are the worlds of the Council," Zixthara said. "We have been traveling between stars for millions of years. We have weapons that can destroy solar systems. We have ships the size of moons. And you think your little nuclear firecrackers make you equal to us?" Jake felt very small, but he did not give up. "We may not be as advanced as you, but we are intelligent. We can learn. We can help." "Help?" The tree being made a sound like wind in branches. "Help with what, little one? You can barely leave your own planet. Your people still fight wars over water and land. You have not even learned to live in peace with your own kind. But that is exactly why you are so precious," said another voice. This one came from a being that looked like a giant butterfly with wings made of metal and light. "Your species is so beautifully aggressive, so wonderfully territorial, like watching wild animals in their natural habitat." Jake felt something cold in his stomach. "What do you mean?" Zixthara smiled, showing all her knife teeth. "The Council has decided to protect humanity. You are too valuable to lose, too interesting to let run free in the dangerous galaxy." "Protect us from what?" Jake asked. "From yourselves mostly," the butterfly being said, "but also from the war. That is coming. The Hegemony and the Free Worlds Alliance are about to fight their final battle. Many species will die. We cannot let such fascinating creatures be caught in the middle. Pictures appeared in the air again. Jake saw massive ships fighting in space, whole planets burning, stars going dark. The war looked bigger and more terrible than anything humans had ever imagined. So we have decided to move you. Zixthara sighed. There is a lovely solar system far from the fighting. 3 nice planets where humans can live safely. We will take care of you there. You cannot move our entire species, Amy said. We will not let you. Will not let us? The crystal beings chimed louder, like laughter made of music. Sweet little human, you have no choice. Your ships are toys. Your weapons are like sticks and stones. We could move your species with 1 ship if we wanted to. But we do not want to be cruel, the tree being said. We will let you take your things. Your books, your music, your little machines. You can keep your culture alive in your new home. And people will come to visit, added the butterfly being. Other species love to watch humans. You are so emotional, so unpredictable, much more entertaining than most species. Jake realized what they were saying. You want to put us in a zoo. A preserve, Zixthara corrected gently. A beautiful, safe preserve where you can live natural lives while we protect you from the dangerous galaxy. We will not go, Jake said. Oh, you will, Zixthara said, still smiling. Because if you do not, we will have to move you anyway. And that might not be as gentle as if you cooperate. Jake looked around the room at all the powerful beings. They were all watching him with the same expression. It was not hate or anger. It was the look humans gave to animals in a zoo. Fond, protective, but completely sure that they knew what was best. The relocation begins in 1 month, Zixthara announced. We will start with your military and government leaders. Do not worry. We will make sure you are all comfortable in your new home. Jake wanted to argue more, but he could see it was useless. These beings saw humans as pets, as something cute and interesting, but not really intelligent, not really important. The meeting ended with the council members patting Jake on the head again and telling him what a good boy he was for listening so well. Amy looked like she wanted to shoot something, but there was nothing to shoot that would matter. As they left the great hall, Jake felt anger burning in his chest, not just at the council, but at himself. He had failed. He had come here to make humanity equal partners in the galaxy, and instead he had convinced them that humans were nothing more than entertaining animals. But as they walked back to their small ship, Jake began to think. The council had made one mistake. They thought they knew everything about humans just by looking at them. They thought humans were weak because they were small. They thought humans were simple because their technology was primitive. Maybe it was time to show them how wrong they were. Ben Rodriguez slammed his fist on the metal table so hard that coffee spilled everywhere. Around him, his best officers sat in shocked silence. The news from the Galactic Council had reached Earth 6 hours ago, and Ben still could not believe. They want to move us like cattle, he said, his voice shaking with anger. Pack us up and put us in some distant corner of the galaxy where we cannot bother anyone. Colonel Lisa Brown wiped coffee off her papers. The message was clear. We have 30 days before they start relocating us. They are starting with military leaders and government officials. So they are starting with us, said Major Pete Johnson. He was a quiet man who rarely spoke, but when he did, people listened. They think if they control the military and government, the rest of humanity will follow like sheep. Ben looked around. The room at his staff. These were the best soldiers Earth had ever produced. They had trained for years to defend humanity from alien threats. But none of them had imagined a threat like this. How do you fight beings who can destroy planets with a thought? Sir, said Captain Amy Carter, who who had just returned from the council meeting. I saw them up close. They are powerful, but they are also arrogant. They think they know everything about us, but they do not. What do you mean? Ben asked. Amy stood up and walked to the big screen on the wall. She pressed some buttons, and pictures appeared. Pictures of the alien council members, their ships, their weapons. They see us as animals, she said. Cute, harmless animals. They think because we are small and our technology is primitive, we are not dangerous. They have never seen humans fight for survival. Lisa Brown leaned forward. But Amy, they are right about one thing. We cannot fight their technology. Their ships are like flying cities. Their weapons can destroy mountains. What can we do against that? Amy smiled, but it was not a happy smile. We can do what humans have always done when faced with a bigger, stronger enemy. We can be smarter. We can be more creative. We can fight dirty. At that moment, Dr. Corinne White burst into the room. She was carrying a tablet computer and looked very excited. I have been studying the council footage, she said. I think I found something important. She plugged her tablet into the room's computer system. New pictures appeared on the screen. These showed different alien species, both council members and others, from around the galaxy. Look at this, Corinne said, pointing at the screen. Every species in the galaxy evolved as either predator or prey. The big lizard people? Pure predators. They are built to hunt and kill. The crystal beings? They are like living rocks. They exist to defend and survive. The gas clouds? They are scavengers. They feed on the remains of other species. What does that mean? Ben asked. It means they all think in simple ways, Karen explained. Predators attack. Prey runs or hides. Scavengers wait for others to die. But humans are different. We evolved as both predator and prey. We learned to hunt, but we also learned to run and hide. We learned to fight, but we also learned to cooperate. Pete Johnson nodded slowly. So we can think like both hunter and hunted. We can switch between attack and defense. Exactly, Corinne said. And there is more. Look at this footage from their war zones. The screen showed battles between different alien species. Giant ships firing massive weapons at each other. Planets, covered in armies marching in straight lines. Everything looked very organized, very predictable. They fight like machines, Amy said. No creativity, no surprise. They follow patterns. Because they cannot think any other way, Corinne said. A predator species always attacks the same way. A prey species always defends the same way. They are trapped by their own evolution. Ben felt something stirring in his chest. Hope, maybe. Or anger. Or both. So what are you saying? That we can outsmart them? I am saying they have never faced anything like us, Corinne said. They have never fought a species that can think like prey one moment and like predators the next. A species that can work together, like a pack, but also think independently like individuals. Lisa Brown was studying the war footage. Look at this. The hegemony is winning because they are pure predators. They attack hard and fast. The Free World's alliance is losing because they are trying to defend honorably. They fight fair. But humans do not fight fair, Amy said quietly. We fight to win. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what Amy meant. Humans had a long history of warfare, and they had learned one important lesson. In a fight for survival, there are no rules except victory. Ben walked to the window and looked out at the city below. Millions of people going about their normal lives, not knowing that in 30 days, aliens would come to take them away from their home. We need to contact the other governments, he said. All of them. This is not about countries anymore. This is about the human race. Sir, Pete said, The council will be watching our communications. They will know what we are planning. Then we go old school, Ben said. Face-to-face meetings, coded messages, dead drops. We have been doing this for thousands of years. Over. The next few hours, messages went out through secret channels. Not through satellites or radio, but through human networks that had existed since before the space age. Military contacts, diplomatic back channels, intelligence services that officially did not exist. The response was faster than Ben had hoped. Within 12 hours, he was getting calls from generals, presidents, and prime ministers all over the world. The message was always the same. What do you need? For the first time in human history, every nation on Earth began working together. Not because they liked each other, but because they faced a common enemy. The same pack bonding instinct that had helped humans survive on the African plains millions of years ago was now binding the entire species together. I have been thinking about something, Karen said during their second meeting. The council thinks our aggression is cute. They think our pack bonding is adorable, but they do not understand what those things really mean. Explain, Ben said. Human aggression is not just about fighting, Karen said. It is about never giving up, about finding a way to win even when winning seems impossible. And human pack bonding is not just about being friendly. It is about being willing to die for the group, about making the group stronger than any individual. Amy nodded. They see us as individuals. But when humans really bond together, we become something else, something they have never seen before. Pack, Lisa said. A human pack. And what do human packs do? Ben asked. Amy's smile was fierce. They hunt. That night, Ben stood on the roof of the military base and looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, aliens were planning to move humanity like pieces on a chessboard. They thought humans were weak, harmless, cute little creatures who would do what they were told. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The pack was awake now. And when a human pack decided to hunt, nothing in the universe could stop them. Ben pulled out his secure phone and made a call. This is Ben Rodriguez, he said. Operation Homecoming is now active. Send word to all units. It is time to show the galaxy what humans can really do. The war for humanity's freedom was about to begin. Lisa Brown floated in the cold darkness of space, wearing a suit that made her invisible to most sensors. Around her, the asteroid field looked empty, but she knew better. Somewhere in this maze of floating rocks, alien ships were waiting. It had taken 3 weeks to arrange this meeting. 3 weeks of careful planning, stolen communication codes, and messages sent through channels that the Galactic Council did not know existed. Now she was about to meet with beings who were fighting a war that humanity was not supposed to know about. Her radio crackled softly. Contact in 30 seconds, came the voice of her pilot, hidden in a small ship nearby. Remember, if this goes wrong, we are never here. Lisa smiled grimly. That was the human way. Always have a backup plan. Always be ready to disappear. A shadow passed over her, blocking out the stars. The ship that appeared was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. But it was also damaged. Holes in its hull had been patched with metal that did not match. Weapon marks scarred its surface. This was a ship that had been fighting for its life. A beam of light caught Lisa and pulled her gently toward an opening in the ship's side. Inside, she found herself in a room filled with beings that looked like giant cats, but with forearms and skin that changed color with their emotions. These were the Andalites, one of the species fighting against the hegemony. I am General Kethmer, said the largest of the cat beings. His skin was a deep red color that Lisa guessed meant anger or frustration. You are the human who claims your species can help us win this war. I am Colonel Lisa Brown, she replied. And yes, I think we can help. But first, I need to understand why you are losing. Kethmer's skin flashed brighter red. We are not losing. We are conducting a strategic withdrawal. You are losing, Lisa said calmly. Your people are being driven from system after system. Your fleets are being destroyed. Your worlds are being conquered. In human terms, you are losing badly. The other Andalites hissed and growled. Their skin colors shifted to angry oranges and reds, but Kethmer held up one of his 4 hands for silence. Speak plainly, human. What do you see that we do not? Lisa activated a small projector she had brought with her. Images filled the air between them, showing battle footage from the war. You fight with honor, she said. You meet the enemy in open battle. You follow the rules of war. You try to minimize civilian casualties. You fight like warriors. Of course we do, Kethmer said. We are not barbarians. But the hegemony fights like killers, Lisa continued. They use overwhelming force. They target civilians. They break every rule of honorable combat. They fight to win, not to be honorable. So you are saying we should become like them? Another Andalite asked. That we should abandon our honor? I am saying you should learn from humans, Lisa said. We have been fighting wars for thousands of years. We have learned that there are 2 kinds of fighters, those who fight for honor and those who fight to survive. Guess which ones are still alive? Kethmer's skin began to change from red to a thoughtful purple. What are you proposing? Let us teach you to fight like humans. Lisa said, not without honor, but with creativity, with surprise, with tactics your enemy cannot predict. She changed the images in the projector. Now they showed human military history. Battles where smaller forces had defeated larger ones through clever tactics. Guerrilla wars where fighters had used the land itself as a weapon. Psychological operations that had defeated enemies without firing a shot. This is impossible, said one of the younger Andalites. You cannot hide entire fleets. You cannot make the enemy afraid to fight. Watch, Lisa said, and showed them footage from Earth's history. Small groups of fighters defeating massive armies. Enemies surrendering without a battle because they had been convinced they could not win. Your enemy, the hegemony, they are pure predators, Lisa explained. They are strong, but they are also predictable. They always attack the same way. They always expect their enemies to fight back the same way. But what if you did not fight back the way they expected? Kethmer leaned forward. Explain. What if, instead of meeting them in battle, you disappeared? What if you let them think they had won, then struck at them from behind? What if you made them fight not just your ships, but their own fears? The room fell silent. Lisa could see the Andalites thinking, their skin colors shifting through different shades as they considered her words. This is not how civilized species fight, Kethmer said finally. No, Lisa agreed. It is how humans fight. And humans have never lost a war for survival. That was not exactly true, but Lisa hoped the aliens would not know enough about human history to contradict her. Another Andalite spoke up. Even if we agreed to this, how could you teach us? Your species has not even left your own solar system. Lisa smiled. But we have been invited to leave. The Galactic Council is moving us. In 1 week, some of us will be relocated to different worlds. And some of us might get lost along the way. Kethmer's skin turned a color Lisa had not seen before, a deep blue that might have been hope. You would abandon your own relocation to help us? We would abandon our cages to help you, Lisa corrected. The Council wants to put us in a zoo. We prefer to stay free. But if you help us, the Council will punish your species. Let them try, Lisa said. Humans do not negotiate with kidnappers. Over the next few hours, Lisa and the Andalites worked out the details. A small group of humans would join each Andalite fleet as advisors. They would teach the Andalites new ways to fight. In exchange, The Andalites would help protect Earth from the Council's relocation efforts. "There is one more thing," Lisa said as the meeting ended. "The Council thinks humans are harmless because we are small and our technology is primitive. Do not make the same mistake." "What do you mean?" Kethmer asked. "I mean that the most dangerous thing about humans is not our weapons or our technology. It is our refusal to give up. When a human decides to fight, they do not stop until they win or die, and sometimes they do not stop even then." As Lisa prepared to leave, Kethmer approached her. His skin had turned a warm gold color that she guessed meant respect or friendship. "I have one question," he said. "Why are you helping us? Your species could cooperate with the Council. You could live safely in your preserve. Why risk everything for strangers?" Lisa thought about that for a moment. "Because we are not just fighting for ourselves," she said. "We are fighting for the right to choose our own fate. And if we let the Council take that away from us, we stop being human." The meeting ended with handshakes and promises. As Lisa floated back through space toward her hidden ship, she felt something she had not felt in weeks. Hope. The Andalites were good people, but they had been fighting a civilized war against an uncivilized enemy. Now they were going to learn to fight like humans. The hegemony would not know what hit them. But more importantly, the Galactic Council was about to learn that humans were not the harmless pets they thought they were. They were about to learn that when you cage a predator, it does not become tame. It becomes angry. And angry humans were the most dangerous thing in the universe. Admiral Tom Hayes stood on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the largest space battle in galactic history unfold on his screens. Around him, his crew worked quietly and efficiently, their faces showing no emotion. They had trained for this moment for months, but now that it was here, Tom felt the weight of every decision. "Hegemony fleet entering weapons range," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Dan Parker. 3,000 ships, sir." "They outnumber the Alliance forces 3-1. Tom nodded. The numbers were exactly what they had expected. The hegemony had brought everything they had for this final battle. They wanted to crush the Free World's alliance once and for all, and they had the firepower to do it. "Signal from General Kethmer," said his communications officer. "The Alliance fleet is ready to begin the operation." Tom looked at the tactical display. The hegemony ships were arranged in their traditional formation, a massive wedge designed to punch through enemy defenses with overwhelming force. It was the same formation they had used in every battle for the past 1,000 years. It was predictable, efficient, and had never failed them. Today, it would fail. "Begin Phase 1, Tom ordered. Across the star system, the Alliance fleet began to move. But instead of forming up for battle, they scattered like frightened animals. Ships that had been prepared to fight suddenly broke formation and fled in all directions. To the hegemony, it looked like a complete panic. On the screen, Tom watched the hegemony commander, General Vexter, react exactly as predicted. The massive alien's face showed satisfaction as he watched his enemies run away. After months of fighting, the Alliance had finally broken. "All ships, pursue the cowards," Vexter ordered. "Do not let any escape. Today, we end this war." The hegemony fleet abandoned their careful formation and gave chase. Some ships went after the fleeing Alliance cruisers. Others pursued the scattered fighter squadrons. The largest group followed what looked like the Alliance command ships as they fled toward a nearby asteroid field. "They are taking the bait," reported Captain Amy Carter from her position aboard an Alliance ship. "Hegemony forces are splitting up to pursue individual targets." Tom smiled. "The first rule of human warfare: divide your enemy. Make them spread their forces thin. Turn their strength into weakness." "Phase 2, he ordered. The Alliance ships that had been fleeing suddenly slowed down. Not enough to be obvious, but enough to let the hegemony ships catch up. The pursuing forces thought they were gaining ground through superior speed and determination. They did not realize they were being led into a trap. Major Pete Johnson, commanding a squadron of fighters, watched the hegemony ships enter the asteroid field. "They are following our flight path exactly," he reported. "No deviation, no caution. They think they are hunting us." "Let them think that," Tom replied. "Remember, we are not trying to destroy them. We are trying to capture them." That was the key difference between human tactics and traditional galactic warfare. Most species fought to kill their enemies. Humans fought to win. And sometimes, winning meant turning your enemies into allies. The hegemony ships pushed deeper into the asteroid field, chasing what they thought were fleeing Alliance forces. Their sensors were focused ahead, looking for targets to destroy. They did not notice the Alliance ships hidden among the asteroids on either side of them. "This is too easy," said Colonel Lisa Brown from her position on an Alliance command ship. "They are not even trying to be careful. They are predators," Amy replied. "Pure predators. They have never learned to think like prey. They do not know how to be cautious." Dr. Corinne White, monitoring the battle from the Defiance, nodded in agreement. Every species in the galaxy fights the same way they evolved. The hegemony evolved as apex predators. They have never faced an enemy that could think like both predator and prey. The trap was almost ready. Hegemony ships were scattered throughout the asteroid field, pursuing individual Alliance targets. They had abandoned their formation, their mutual support, their tactical discipline. They were thinking like individual hunters, not like a coordinated military force. "Phase 3, Tom ordered. The Alliance ships that had been fleeing suddenly stopped running. Hidden weapon platforms throughout the asteroid field activated. Ships that had been disguised as space debris revealed themselves. The hunters had become the hunted, but the Alliance forces did not attack to kill. Following human tactics, they targeted engines instead of weapons. They fired at communication arrays instead of command centers. They wanted to disable the hegemony ships, not destroy them. What is happening?" General Vexter roared as his ships began reporting damage. "Where are these attacks coming from?" His tactical officer, a creature that looked like a giant insect, clicked its mandibles nervously. "Sir, we are surrounded." The Alliance forces were not fleeing. They were leading us into an ambush. "Impossible," Vexter snarled. "The Alliance fights with honor. They do not use tricks and deception. Sir, these are not normal Alliance tactics. Something has changed." On the Defiance, Tom watched the battle unfold exactly as planned. The hegemony ships were trying to fight back, but they were confused and disorganized. They had never faced an enemy that refused to fight fair. "Hegemony flagship is trying to break out of the trap," reported Dan Larker. "They are heading for open space. Let them go," Tom said, "but follow them. We want them to report back to their high command." Amy's voice came through the communication system. "Sir, we have captured 60% of the hegemony fleet. The remaining ships are surrendering." Tom felt a moment of satisfaction. The plan was working perfectly. But this was only the beginning. "Broadcast the surrender terms," he ordered. "Standard human protocol." The message went out to all hegemony ships. "Surrender, and you will be treated with respect. Continue fighting, and you will be destroyed." Your choice. It was a concept that confused the hegemony forces. In their culture, you fought until you won or died. Surrender was not an option. But faced with an enemy that could capture their entire fleet without losing a single ship, many hegemony commanders began to reconsider their options. "This is General Vexter," came a transmission from the fleeing flagship. "What are your terms?" Tom smiled. unconditional surrender. Your ships, your weapons, your forces. In exchange, we guarantee the safety of your crews and the eventual freedom of your people. You would let us live? We would let you choose, Tom replied. That is what this war is really about. The right to choose your own fate. There was a long pause. Then, one by one, the hegemony ships began to power down their weapons. The Battle of Kepler 442b was over. The hegemony, the most powerful military force in the galaxy, had been defeated not by superior firepower, but by superior tactics. Human tactics. On the bridge of the Defiance, Tom's crew began to cheer. But Tom held up his hand for silence. This is not over, he said. This is just the beginning. The Galactic Council is watching. They are about to learn the humans are not the harmless pets they thought we were. As if summoned by his words, a new group of ships appeared on the sensors. Council ships, massive and gleaming, approaching the battlefield to see what had happened. Signal. From the Council fleet, reported the communications officer. They want to speak with you, sir. Tom straightened his uniform, put them on screen. The image that appeared was familiar. Zixthara, the council leader who had patted Jake Morrison on the head and called humans adorable. But now her expression was very different. Now she looked confused, concerned, and maybe a little afraid. Admiral Hayes, she said, her voice carefully controlled. The council demands an explanation. How did a primitive species like yours achieve such a victory? Tom looked directly into the camera. We did not achieve victory, Counselor. We chose victory. There is a difference. You were supposed to be relocated to a safe preserve, Zixthara said. You were supposed to be protected from this war. We were supposed to be caged, Tom corrected. We chose freedom instead. The transmission ended, but Tom knew the council had heard everything they needed to hear. The cute little humans had just defeated the most powerful military force in the galaxy. The pets had just proved they were predators, and the galaxy would never be the same. The great hall of the Galactic Council was silent for the first time in 1,000 years. On the massive screens that covered the walls, battle footage played over and over again. The impossible had happened. The hegemony, the most feared military force in the galaxy, had surrendered to a species that was supposed to be in protective custody. Isthara stood at the center of the hall, her scales shifting through colors that had no names in any human language. Around her, the other council members watched the footage with expressions of shock, confusion, and something that might have been fear. Play it again, she commanded. The screens flickered, and once more they watched the Battle of Kepler 442b. They watched the Alliance fleet scatter like frightened prey. They watched the hegemony forces give chase, confident in their victory. They watched the trap spring shut with precision that seemed impossible. How? Asked the crystal being known as harmonics. Its voice chimed like broken bells. How did they coordinate such a complex operation across so many ships? The Alliance species cannot even communicate with each other properly. They had help, said the tree-like being called Root Speaker. Human help. On the screens, the footage showed human officers aboard Alliance ships. Captain Amy Carter coordinating fighter squadrons. Colonel Lisa Brown managing supply lines. Major Pete Johnson leading boarding parties. And in the center of it all, Admiral Tom Hayes commanding the entire operation from a human ship that should not have existed. Impossible, Zixthara said, but her voice lacked conviction. Humans do not have the technology to build ships like that. They barely have faster-than-light travel. The ship is built from captured hegemony technology, reported a gas cloud being called Whisper Wind. But the modifications, the weapon systems, the tactical computers, they are unlike anything we have seen before. Show me the communications. Intercepts, Zixthara ordered. New footage appeared on the screens. Radio transmissions between human officers during the battle. But these were not the chaotic, confused communications the Council expected from a primitive species. These were calm, precise, coordinated messages that flowed like a single mind, controlling multiple bodies. Target their engines, not their weapons, Amy Carter's voice said clearly. We want prisoners, not corpses. Hegemony Squadron breaking left, came Pete Johnson's report. Redirecting trap formation to compensate. Phase 3 in 30 seconds. Tom Hayes announced. All units confirm ready status. And then, one after another, every Alliance ship in the operation confirmed they were ready. Not just the human ships, but the Andalite vessels, the Terran fighters, even the auxiliary craft. They all responded as one unit, one mind, one perfectly. Coordinated force. This is impossible, harmonics chimed. Different species cannot coordinate like this. Their thought patterns are too different. Their reaction times vary too much. Their tactical doctrines conflict with each other. Unless something is making them work together, Root Speaker observed. Something that can bridge the gap between different species. The humans, Zixthara said quietly. Somehow, the humans are making them work together. The butterfly being called Shimmer fluttered its metal wings nervously. But how? Humans are not telepathic. They have no natural ability to communicate with other species. They should not be able to coordinate anything. Play the next section, Zixthara ordered. The screens showed the aftermath of the battle. Hegemony ships surrendering one by one. But more importantly, they showed what happened next. Instead of destroying their enemies or taking them as slaves, the humans began treating hegemony prisoners with something the Council had never seen before: respect. Medical teams to hegemony ships, came Lisa Brown's voice. Treat their wounded the same. As our own, no exceptions. Food and water for all prisoners, Amy Carter ordered. And find out what their dietary requirements are. I want them comfortable. General Vexter is asking to speak with Admiral Hayes, reported Dan Parker. He wants to discuss surrender terms. Put him through, Tom Hayes replied. And remember, he is not our enemy anymore. He is our guest. The Council members watched in amazement as the human admiral spoke with the hegemony general. Not as conqueror to conquered, but as equals discussing a mutual problem. Your forces fought bravely, Tom told Vexter. Under different circumstances. We could have been allies. You defeated us without destroying us, Vexter replied, his voice filled with confusion. Why? In war, the strong destroy the weak. That is the natural order. In human war, the smart convert the strong, Tom said. We do not want to destroy the hegemony. We want to give you a choice. You can continue fighting wars of conquest, or you can join us in building something better. Vexter was silent for a long moment. What do you mean, something better? A galaxy where species choose their own fate, Tom replied. Where the strong protect the weak instead of conquering them. Where different peoples work together instead of fighting each other. That is impossible, Vexter said. Species are too different. We cannot work together. Really? Tom asked, and the screens showed the mixed fleets around them. Andalite ships working alongside human vessels. Alliance fighters coordinating with captured hegemony cruisers. Dozens of species. Former enemies working together as a single force. How? Vexter whispered. Because humans taught them how, Tom said simply. The footage ended, leaving the council hall in stunned silence. Finally, Harmonix spoke, its voice barely audible. They did not just defeat the hegemony, they converted them. They turned the galaxy's greatest predator species into allies. In one battle, Shimmer added, its wings trembling. They changed the balance of power in the entire galaxy in one battle. Zixthara felt something she had never experienced before. Genuine fear. Not of human weapons or technology, but of human ideas. The concept that different species could work together as equals was more dangerous to the Council's authority than any weapon. "Bring me Ambassador Morrison," she ordered. A few minutes later, Jake Morrison entered the hall. But he was not the same human who had sat in a child's chair just weeks ago. Now he walked with confidence, flanked by 2 human guards who carried themselves like professional soldiers. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone who represented a species that had just changed the galaxy. "Counselor Zixthara," he said politely, "I assume you want to discuss the recent unpleasantness." "Unpleasantness?" Zixthara's scales flushed red with anger. "You started a war. You interfered in galactic politics. You violated every agreement we made." "We violated nothing," Jake replied calmly. "We simply chose not to be relocated to your preserve. As I recall, you never actually asked if we wanted to go. You are a primitive species. You need protection." "From what?" Jake asked. "From the hegemony? We just defeated them." "From the war? We just ended it." "From ourselves? We just united every species in the Free Worlds Alliance under a single command structure." Zixthara realized with growing horror that Jake was right. In 1 month, humans had accomplished what the Council had been trying to do for centuries. They had brought peace to the galaxy. "How?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Smiled. "Because we did something you never tried. We listened. We learned. We adapted. And most importantly, we treated other species as equals instead of pets." "But you are so small," Shimmer protested. "So primitive. Your technology is thousands of years behind ours." "Technology is not everything," Jake replied. "Ideas are more powerful than weapons. And the idea that different species can work together as equals is the most powerful idea in the universe." "What do you want?" Zixthara asked. "Recognition," Jake said simply. "Recognition that humanity is a free species with the right to choose its own destiny. Recognition that other species have the same right. And recognition that the galaxy is big enough for all of us to coexist as equals." Root Speaker leaned forward. "And if we refuse?" Jake's smile became less friendly. "Then you will discover that the hegemony was not the only species that needed to learn about human warfare. We have been studying your defenses, Counselor. Your ships are impressive, but they are designed to fight other Council species. They are not designed to fight humans." The threat was politely delivered, but it was unmistakable. The cute little mammals were no longer asking for permission. They were demanding respect. "The Council will need time to consider this," Zixthara said finally. "Of course," Jake replied. "Take all the time you need. But while you are considering, human advisors will be helping other species throughout the galaxy learn to work together. We will be teaching them that they do not need the Council's protection. They can protect themselves." As Jake left the hall, Zixthara realized that everything had changed. The humans had not just won a battle. They had introduced a new concept to the galaxy: freedom of choice. And that concept was spreading faster than any weapon. The cute little pets had become the most dangerous predators in the universe. Not because they were the strongest, but because they had the most powerful weapon of all, the ability to make others believe in themselves. The galaxy would never be the same. And for the first time in her long life, Zixthara was not sure if the Council would survive the change. The age of human influence had begun.